a visual learner, and I've made a practice of being very visually alive. So I notice what's around me, and my art really is a response to what I see and what I experience. So it's both internal and external.
Mm-hmm. And that's what motivates
And
you.
that's what keeps me going. I keep my eyes open. I'm always looking at things, noticing textures and colors and value, light and dark, and especially how things are connected. I like to see how things are hooked
Neat.
together.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way you use color also. Because traditionally you see baskets and they're sort of the all natural browns, and you use those, but I also like your, I have one of your orange baskets. And
When I started out, I used only vegetable dyes because
Okay.
I thought I needed that really subtle, kind of a subtle palette. The reed is resistant to vegetable dyes.
Is it?
So what would dye silk or even cotton, a really vibrant color,
Mhm.
and wool especially, reed is mud. And then for the things when I can get a good color with reed, it's very tends to be very fugitive. So a number of years ago, I kind of held my nose and jumped in and started using cold water fiber reactive dyes.
Mhm.
And then I thought, why was I such a dunderhead? These are great.
Oh, okay.
The one vegetable dye that I still use is the gray. And
Okay.
that's made with wood chips and is a really, it always gives me a good gray. It's different from one batch to the next, but it always gives me a good color and it's very fast.
Do you make
So
it yourself?
Oh yeah.
The dye? Oh, neat.
Oh yeah, I make all the dyes myself. That's the first step.
So you were saying that your creativity comes from just always observing the
Mhm.
connectedness, and I know you're also a little bit of a, no, correct me if I'm wrong, a little bit of an outdoorsman. You like to walk and be out of doors. So how does that impact?
I spend a lot of time outside.
Uh-huh.
It's not all vigorous. A good bit of it's on the porch swing.
Observing nature, right?
Yes. I hike a lot, mostly in the winter,
Mm-hmm.
and I often come back with things that ends up in my work. I'll bring back sticks or rocks or plant material to make paper with.
Oh, neat. Yes,
So-
you have started incorporating. You haven't always done that, have you?
I've done paper for a very, very long time. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you incorporate plant material in your paper, so it's not just recycled paper?
No,
or-
it's not recycled paper. I use the white papers that you'll see in my work are either abaca or cotton linters, which are the little bits of cotton that stick to the cotton bowl.
Okay.
And those are both real common fibers for hand paper makers to use.
Mhm.
All of the other fibers are fibers that are plants that I come across
Really?
in my hiking and wandering or whatever.
For instance, what kind of plants were
Corn husks, straw, hardwood leaves. We live in the woods, so there's an abundance of hardwood leaves.
they? Once they're
then
dry or when they're green?
Mostly
doesn't
when they're
matter.
dry. The leaves are when they're dry. That's when it's easiest to get them.
Yeah.
But the others, it doesn't really matter. My favorite to use is the just the silky part of milkweed seed pods. That makes a really nice paper.
Ooh, I bet.
I-
They're soft or?
Well, they're little bits of the seed stick to it, so the
Okay.
paper's kind of speckled. It's kind of a
Oh.
buff colored paper with
Yeah.
little black speckles in
Oh,
it.
I bet that's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then each of the plant fibers makes a paper that has a different characteristic.
So, just kind of taking a slightly different direction, where do you see your art going these days? What, are you being pulled in any directions? Are you thinking about anything differently than you may have 4 or 5 years ago? I don't know.
I think if I had every basket I ever made, I could probably put them in chronological order because one idea leads to the next and it's kind of an evolution of ideas. It does happen very often that I'm not aware that I've changed, that something's changed, and someone who knows me well or knows my work will say, oh, these look really different. And I have to ask, what do you see?
natural for
it
you.
just, yeah, it is a progression. I've been absolutely fascinated lately with landscapes, and I'm kind of curious to see where that's going to go. One of the pieces in the collection that I brought to you is called Patchwork Fields.
Okay.
When I leave my yoga class at the end of the class, you know, when I'm feeling tall and
Mm-hmm.
really aware, you know how you
Yes.
are after yoga? The class is at the top of a hill, and it's kind of unusual, at least for my part of Pennsylvania, that there's a long straight road that goes down and it's really open. So I see all of the fields around me. And I've just been fascinated with how one little piece fits next to the next one, and then there's a different color and texture, and they just are all kind of hooked together. So
Yeah, that's neat.
I don't know where it'll go. We'll see.